Here comes the Clarity series brought to you by Inspiration Side and hosted by Chris. It's about to be a long ride, and I guess you are very ready to get some clarity, discover, recover, uncover, and don't forget like, comment, share, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Clarity series. My name is Grace Oluwabusola Okikiayo, and I'm a privileged host for the Clarity series. And today we're having another beautiful session, something very interesting. I believe you can tell from the title that we are talking about business administration. That's our focus for this episode. And I have great honor and great joy to introduce our guest to you. Uh, I don't know. His name is Dr. James Akinbode, and is an associate assistant professor of business and human resource management at Bowen University, Iwo, Ocean State, Nigeria. Is I don't know, so many things, so many. A man with so many caps, a man with so many. His caps have so many feathers. All right, so you're welcome on board, sir. It's so
Yeah,
glad to
thank you. So it's my pleasure to have this privilege to have joined you in this session. I'm so glad
be.
that you considered me worthy to be for this session. Thank you.
So glad to have you. So yeah, decided to have this conversation on business administration. Um,
Okay.
Kind of most times I like starting from my own perspective to share, and then we build on that for other people to also like learn from it. So personally, I used not I used to I don't like the term business or the practicality of it. So like I feel I'm not a business person, and I've heard
Okay.
people say, oh, you don't have to like do business, or like doing business administration doesn't mean you have to do business. And I'm like, but business is in the term. So can we remove the business out of the concept of business administration? So really, I would like that we just start from that place where we like shed more light on the realness, the originality, and the essence of business administration. That what exactly is it? Is it about business, like trading, selling, or there is more to it?
All right. Thank you for this wonderful clarity that you have pursued this evening. The truth is, the word business itself is been bastardized, and the meaning appears to be so loaded that even those that are studying it or those that have studied it do not even understand the right placement of what business is all about. So, based on that, it has been very, very controversial for us to actually understand what business is and what business is not.
Mm,
Like somebody said in a recent inaugural lecture, he said business is everything and everything is business. It
mm,
connotes that even if you have studied microbiology, if you have studied criminology, if you have studied religion, if you have studied economics, in the actual sense, it is business.
mm,
Uh, Loosely, we make use of the word, it is not your business. This is my business. All right. So it shows that every activity that we do, which we will clarify as we discuss, is actually business. Be occupied till I come was the charge in the Bible. And this
yes.
means that you have to do my father's business. Okay. So when you look at the whole meanings that surrounds business, we cannot actually shut it down, but we cannot also leave it in the hands of those that have actually studied business
Mm,
administration only. Now, if you permit me to clarify that concept, it will interest you to know that business is all about social, is all about politics, is all about religion, is all about economics, and marriage is all about business. It's because people don't see marriage as a business. That is why we're having a series of challenges now. So let me rest it there so that I don't preempt that discussion. Thank you.
okay, thank you so much for that clarity. I personally, I think I'm now beginning to understand that. Yeah, it's not about the buying and selling, but the perspective you have to it, that everything actually is business. And I think it's something I learned from one of my I'll call him like a, I want to say a senior colleague, he's not my colleague in any way, a boss in the microbiology industry. And is the first person that I heard that is doing science entrepreneurship. So he calls it sciencepreneurship. And I'm like, why? The first time I heard, I was like, Oga, why? And he was like, there is business in science. And I was like, no, we just do research. But it opened my eyes to like the business of science, not just physical product, but like the services that is also business. And you have to do it in that way, not just like doing research like we would do. So I really do hope that as many people that listen to this get to like see so much of the clarity. Now, our focus basically for this conversation is more of like for students to understand. So you've been privileged to lecture for a number of years. I know you were first in the field, industry field, before coming into academics. Now, in academics, how can you say students' perspective towards that course is like? There is something that formed the basis of the clarity series, which is that some students have this notion of they gave me the course. So for students that probably were given business administration in school, and for students that originally chose business administration, what's their perspective? How open are they to understand, to like go through the course, and how much of a goal do they have? Are they just about, let me just do it 4 years or 5 years and just leave? Or like, is there a statistic to say, okay, like 50% of them are really dedicated and willing to make something out of that journey?
Yes, thank you for these beautiful questions. And as we speak, it remains a challenge with us that parents, friends, uncles try to impose discipline of study, and perhaps in Nigeria, where reality of
Mm,
JAMB and other award is post-secondary school degree awarding institutions, we want to just let you have something to encourage you that all will be well, um,
mm,
and all can be well. In the actual sense, tertiary education is all about attitude formation. All
mm,
right, it does not actually note that what you have studied is what you will practice, but we want to get you ready for the world of work. We want to get
mm,
you serious with your life. We want you to understand procedures, techniques, processes, strategies, okay? Which I tell you, in every discipline, we have all those that are present there. Whether you have studied biz admin, economics, accounting, microbiology, biochemistry, medicine, and the rest, is all trying to let you have what we call the general basis of knowledge that will
mm,
let you succeed in any area that you find yourself. So I see it as a cheap excuse if somebody just ascribe maybe failure or not doing too well
mm,
in a discipline as a result of it was given to me, what is available. Okay, so you can
mm,
make do with whatsoever field that you find yourself, as long as you are so purposeful in your mind that yes, this is what I have now. I just have to make it work. All right, that's the first angle to it. But for those that are already in it and have this doubt that I cannot do it because it's not the interest is not there, you can always get the interest in. You can always make do of what you have been given. And for me, I believe that when you look at the field of management generally, one field that speak to management is business administration. So that is why in some schools it's not only seen as a discipline, it's not only seen as a department, it's seen as a college or a faculty. If
mm,
you get to University of Lagos in Nigeria now, they have faculty of business administration because they believe that other administrative areas like accounting, like human resource management and the likes, they are part of business administration. And when you run a business, for example, you see all those as functional areas of business. You will see HR department, you will see accounting department, you will see research department. So if it comes to be the model of disciplines in that space, that is
mm,
about management. have to speak about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Um, yeah, I'm getting to learn as much as I believe others too would learn. So, at the completion of using Nigeria as a case study, Nigerian institutions, completion of probably a BSc or an HND in business administration, oftentimes we hear of like professional courses that help to support your first degree certificate so that you have a leverage and a higher chance at better career opportunities. So what are some of those professional courses, and how much of implication do they really carry that, oh, if you have this plus this, is better than having just your BSc? How valuable is it to employers that what whichever employee they are bringing in should have extra certification?
All right, thank you. I think you just wanted to clarify the beauty of having both academic qualification and professional qualification. That is just what you have just asked.
Yes.
In as much as we have exalted professional qualification, and I tell you sincerely, it's just because of the lacuna that exists between what is taught in university system or polytechnic or colleges of education in Nigeria, for example, and the
Yes.
processes we have seen that has been compromised, that has made employers of labor now to be interested in the combination of both academic qualification and
Yes.
professional qualification. Now, having said this apart, you can have just your academic qualification, that is maybe a BSc, and still do well, and employer will applaud you and they still want to give you the job. All right. Now, there should be a shift, maybe in the curriculum of university or polytechnic or college, to be able to see how practical dimension can be taught. Unlike in sciences, that you can have 4 units, and when you have 4 units, you have 2 hours of theories, you have 2 hours of what, of
Practical.
practical experience in the laboratory.
Yes.
Okay, it becomes difficult for us in management because we see the industry as our own laboratory, we see the society as our laboratory. So you see most of the teachings now in the management world, business administration, tend to be more of theories. And that is why you see most employers want to see more of a professional training and certification that must
Yes.
have strengthened your theoretical knowledge. Now, except for
Yes.
few of us that have been in industry, that have worked, that will bring practical instances, into our teachings in classes, you find out that so many lecturers that have not even worked outside the university system, we just teach you the theories they have been taught from their BSc, their MSc, and their PhD because they have never worked. So you can't blame them because university is more of theoretical training in our own aspect. But when you talk
Yes.
about business, if you now want to have an edge ahead of others, it is believed that you must have shown some level of professional training. And in our
Yes.
space, we have a lot of professional certification that is very, very relevant. Now, like I said, that business administration is a very wide area. In the course of your university education, all right, you must have identified your own area of interest. Okay, maybe I use myself as an example. I was trained as a business administration student, but again, I now major in human resource management. Okay. Now, there is a professional body in Nigeria, for example, that is the apex regulatory body of human resource management, which
Okay.
if I wanted to know that this is what I want to become, then I will just go for that professional certification. Now, that
Mm.
was why I went for CIPM, which is the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, the apex body. Now, someone can decide that he wants to go into marketing. Marketing is also an aspect of business administration. You now go for Nigeria Institute of Marketing in Nigeria, okay? And you have other foreign affiliates like that. If you want to go into strategic management, you go for Chartered Institute of Strategic Management. If you want to go into purchasing, you go into that. If you want to go into maybe operational management, there is also a professional body for that. But in our space, we have all manners of professional bodies that you can register for, which will be in line with your own interest within business administration. Now we
mm,
have the general body that we call Nigeria Institute of Management, NIM. Now, that is also a professional body that interested students can also get registered, write the exam, and
mm.
become certified or chartered in that space. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, sir. So moving from classroom now, trying to compare between a student or a graduate now after completion of like school or professional, how can they effectively shift from being a student of business admin to being a, should I call it a career practitioner? What skills, just that time of like, I don't know if I should use maneuvering or like becoming a business administrator or a business manager or something officially. What are the skills they need? What are the things you have noticed that probably pose as a challenge from someone that is coming from theoretical knowledge to real life applications and addressing issues?
All right. Transition from theory to practice is not only a challenge in business administration, and it will be wrong for us to oversimplify the meaning of business administrator or business manager. Now, it is a transition that you have to start somewhere. It's a journey that starts somewhere, and before you can be pronounced to be a business manager or an administrator.
Mm,
Now, that concept is more in practice and depends on the status that you have attained, maybe in the industry or in the public service, that will let you be pronounced as an administrator, a seasoned administrator, or a seasoned manager. Now, for the fact that you have studied business and does not confer on you an administrator or does not confer on
mm,
you a manager, for us, we have devised several means to be able to take you along that route and emerge at the end of the day, maybe after significant numbers of years. For
mm,
us in institutions, we have what we call industrial attachment,
mm,
that would expose you first to learn on the job as you are taking through some practices within the business world that will let you appreciate theories, principles, strategies, tactics, techniques that you have been taught, which
mm,
remains theoretical, but the application has to be acquired over time. All right, because it is not just a rocket science that when you do this is what will happen when you do this. So it's an accumulated years of experience, that would let you emerge to be called an administrator or a manager. Now we on our part set the base. We say go for industrial attachment, which is the phase one. Phase two, that I love what most banks have done, is to have floated what we call training school. And that's why you see average graduates, once they finish, they employ them as a trainee. I don't know if you have heard that before. We say trainee. So
yes.
you can be appointed as a trainee, showing that you are still in training. You want to acquire uh, hands-on knowledge in that area
Yes.
that you claim to have graduated from. And this is also applicable to business space, irrespective of the area that you want to specialize. You will first commence as a trainee, and from there you can become an executive or an officer. Okay. Now, through
Yes.
the process of engagement, it is when you now emerge to get to the managerial level. Okay, you will
Mm,
first emerge as an officer, then depending on the structure of that business, you can become a supervisor, and from there, based on years of experience, you can now become a business manager.
yes.
Now,
Yes.
because we say businessman does not mean it must be a core business, because we have this limited knowledge that it's only those that are in private sector that are business managers. Even those in public sector, they can emerge as a manager. Okay. Now, the space that you belong to. Now, I had these students that I told years back that you can work anywhere as a business graduate. I said, wow. But today, he works with Redeemed Christian Church of God as their HR officer. But when you look at it technically, Redeemed RCCG is not a business. But now you have somebody that read business that specializes in HR now working as part of the structure, because don't forget that RCCG has staff, they have pastors, they have workers, they have to be
Mm.
managed. Okay, so they
Yes.
brought in the business concept ideology into even several other structures that are not business oriented, which is
Mm.
conventional anyway. Because we at some level of our discussions even see religious activities as a business, churches as business, marriage as business. Okay, political parties, politics, all those activities are now seen as what? As business.
Business.
So
Yeah.
you can journey through the various levels and emerge as a manager. Pastor Deboye is a manager. Let me stop at that. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir. So now, in all this transition and everything over the years of growing, what are the, or for you now personally, what are the top skills that you learned in school? I mean, in the course of maybe say business administration, maybe BAM 101 or something, they wouldn't call it a skill, but like when you take all your courses, you are getting those skills. So what are the skills that stood out for you? Then in industry, what are the skills you found to be very important to help, like soft skills or technical skills?
Okay. Well, within the business space, we have what we call the hard skills and the soft
Mm.
skills. Now, the way the curriculum has been structured is meant to confer on you both the hard skills and what? And soft skills. For
Soft.
example, we teach communication skills. All right.
Mm.
Again, we also teach business strategy. All right. So some of these courses actually introduces us to several of those skills, and we have learned depending on what you're able to pick as a student. All right. There is no course, for example, that will teach you emotional intelligence. Okay. But again, with the way things are evolving now, as a business person, you need to be emotionally intelligent, because we don't have a course that is titled emotional intelligence. But activities that you have exposed you to while you are in school,
Mm.
must have sharpened your technical horizons and both emotional skills to be able to withstand
Mm.
those challenges that might come, especially when you are in business. You can imagine a customer shouting at you and you're also shouting back. How do you retain that customer? So, but if we have exposed you to how to maintain decorum in classroom, for example, we're actually training you to be able to stabilize in the face of what? Provocation, frustrations, and the rest. So you have indirectly learned that, but not by teaching, but by
Yes.
art, while you are with us on campus. Now it is becoming more technical now that we have the entrance of AI into our space. Imagine you working with a robot, human robot, and you are not emotionally intelligent. You might not be able to withstand that, because don't forget that you will be tired. Robots will
Mm.
not be tired. Right? So
Mm.
these are some of the things that are now cropping in, although not part of our curriculum. But again, we as lecturers are also aware of these developments, and we are beginning to introduce that. Imagine somebody that we have made a class rep. What are we teaching? We are teaching leadership skills. Okay. Now, if we decide that there should be a class governor, there should be assistant governor, there should be course A, course rep, all those things that we do, that we introduce, and we change them maybe from 100 level to 200 level, we're actually developing their leadership what? Leadership skills, which is very germane to be evolving as a business manager. I hope I've addressed the question. So
Yes, yes.
you need an array of skills, all
Mm.
right, of skills, not just one, not two, not three. We call it skill sets, and they must blend so that it can help you to be able to manage properly. In this wise, you are not only managing people, you are managing resources. And if
Yes.
you allow me to speak to that, you are managing time. People don't see time as a resource. All right, within the business piece, we see time as a resource. So you need time management skills.
Mm,
All right, because it's a resource, and you cannot afford to just be wasting time. Things that you need to address
mm,
swiftly, and you refuse to do that, then which means you don't have that skill. And a customer that doesn't have the patience needs you to be able to address his or her challenges in a timely manner. And if you are not doing that, you are likely going to lose that customer. You need to be able to manage opportunities. It's also a resource. Now, there is a saying that opportunity comes but what? But one. So the moment you are able to miss that opportunity, it might not come again to you. So you need to be able to have eagle eye to be able to identify and spot opportunity. Is a skill. Some people have naked eyes, they can open it, but they cannot see. It is not spiritual. It is not spiritual skill. Let's go to that. It is ability to be able to see in and out of a challenge. When others are condemning everything that is a problem, is a problem, is a problem. Within that problem, there are opportunities which you must see, which is
mm,
developing eagle eye to be able to identify
mm,
um, that the latent, we call it latent, market latent, that is inherent in that particular problem that people are saying. So you can begin to look at various manners of skills. See, what of teamwork skills? Not everybody can
mm,
work with others. Okay, so we have
mm,
series of depending on how you want to perceive it. What of communication skills? Okay, communication is not only speaking, also what? When you have to write,
mm,
okay? Part of it, you have to listen. Some people don't listen. They don't have what you call listening skills. All right. So all those, when you
yes.
put them together, then I think we have processes. Even when we don't tell you this is the skill we are imparting on you, we are indirectly doing that so that you can acquire it. I told a class last week, and I said that we students will always want to do things their way, but they don't know that we are actually preparing them for the world of work or for their own business. You know that when you give students assignments and you say, I want that assignment on my desk or to eat my meal by 8 a.m., you know what their reaction will be? They will grumble. They will complain, no, we have several things. But they've forgotten that if they start their own business or if they work in an organization and the boss tells them at the close of work, guy, first thing tomorrow morning as the MD, I want this on my desk. Would you complain? So it shows that we are preparing them, but it's only
Yes.
few that will grab that and evolve that skill and
Mm.
be able to now have time management skills. I believe I've spoken to what you
Yes, yes,
asked for. Thank you.
yes. So, thank you, sir. So, for the last question, I think I'll ask on this session before just a little bit of session we're going to is that I know you are not okay. Honestly, like you are not in our generation. In my generation, you are not in my generation.
Okay,
So, I
yeah.
want to put like a time check to it now. What would you call the past, present, and future prospects of business administration as a course and as a career? So past would be say how it was when you were in school, when you were being taught. Present is like current time. And what do you think is like the future prospect of like in 10 years, what is it going to be like? How should people prepare or train themselves for probably a change with AI, with tech, everything that is coming fast?
Yes, I will say the conventional business, because business itself is a dynamic discipline,
Mm,
and the regulators also are mindful of this, and that is why we continue to see changes in our curriculum, in our teaching style, in our assessment style, and in our relationship with students. Now,
mm,
when we started as a student, I remember our lecturers would just give us handouts, we read, we travel from one university to the another, looking for materials here and there. And the way business are done are so traditional and conventional that, for example, if you have to apply for a job, you need to write application letter, you need to take it down or post the letter. All those dynamics are changed. So
mm,
in teaching then, it was more of traditional business.
Mm.
how you have to do this, use of manual processes in doing businesses, writing sales book with your hands in a small shop, keeping petty cash books. Those were the things we were taught. All right. But now we have evolved to the advanced stage where globalization and open market system have changed a lot of things. In the sense that if you are doing business in Nigeria, it is not assumed that you are only doing business in Nigeria. All eyes are on you around the world. So you have the global markets at your disposal. The modern is more technical than the conventional technology that we were using
Yes.
during those days. Software packages are now in existence. So when you have to teach students now, you have to teach them how to use some of these softwares to be able to do transact business, whether e-commerce, on e-business, things like electronic business and the rest. There are things that we have brought up now that has also challenged the space of teaching and also preparing them for the world of business. We are also now interested in the future of business. Right?
Yes.
The future of business will be more technical than the way it is now. And we
Mm.
have been telling our students that they need to get ready for the business of the future, which will
Mm.
not be within the confines of a structure. You can run a business without even your stakeholders knowing your location. They might not
Mm.
have reasons to see your physical factory. You can have one
Mm.
component of your product produced in China, another one produced in Nigeria, and you have to put them together and you have to sell. Okay, we are now seeing all manners of strategic alliances in the world of business, and we are seeing the entrance of the artificial intelligence that is now making the whole space more complex. So our students are now becoming aware of the fact that it is no longer business as usual. Even what we see now that is operational in another 10 years is going to be more technical than this. And it is only those that are ready, that are not
Yes.
just doing la crème la pour, that will be able to cope. La crème la pour is a concept that says that read, cram, and just regurgitate. Okay?
Mm.
Now the space will only be meant for those that will be creative, that can use technology fast and that can learn very fast and that can create many technologies no matter what to be able to survive in their business space. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. I believe others also would have learned so much in this space of all that we have discussed. We'll be talking about something very briefly, and I'm trying to be very careful with this next phase of conversation, not to spite the parties involved or the institutions involved. Now, I know you've transitioned from public tertiary institution, that's like government owned institution, to private owned
Yeah.
institution. And I attended, Osho State University, and somehow I used to say that my school is a private public institution. It's government
Model.
owned, but like, yeah, the way it's being run, seems a little bit of private. Yes. Now, students in public institutions and students in private, I just want a little bit of clarity as to how can students in public not feel like they are being disadvantaged, not feel like they don't have access to resource, because some of them feel private university students have more advantage, or probably, so on another hand, some feel that private university students are not being taught well, they're not being thoroughly drilled as opposed to government's owned institutions. So like I just want a bit of clarity where one party doesn't feel that they are being disadvantaged, and the other party doesn't feel that they are not being taught well. So I don't know if you really understand what I'm driving at.
I do. You see, um, the I don't want to call it a battle. The battle ranges on, and there is always opposing views around what is obtainable in terms of the quality, in terms of the process, in terms of the input, in terms of the environment that is being created. Of course,
Mm.
we all have the ideas of how public space managed in this part of the world, like lackadaisical attitude,
Mm.
inefficiencies. They are somehow the hallmarks of our public sector. Uh, Now, when you now look at private, people tend to believe in the fact that it is characterized by efficiency and working system, whereby
Mm.
you see results desired. But the question is, why do we have these two poles? Now, I
Mm.
don't want to blame the owners of the structures, but I want to blame the operators of the structure, the actors within it. Just like you have said, I've been privileged to work in public institutions, I've also been privileged to work in private institutions. Now, in as much as I see differences, but I do not see difference in terms of my own as a person that is working or that has worked. The
Mm.
same effort, the same energy that I dispense when I was in public is the same one I'm doing when I'm in private, because it's just me. So it's more of the operator that
Mm.
has really created these challenges that we have, that seems to be creating problems for us in public and private institutions. Now, even the clarity of the model that you just spoke about, we have seen private public, we have seen purely private, we have seen purely public, we are now seeing public private. Now, the dynamics around this has to do with the emerging issues of concern that people expect that they are not getting. And that is
Mm.
why if they look around the cost, the tuition fee, they will say this one is not public but public private. It's actually owned by government. But because the tuition fee is very, very high,
Mm.
conventionally we believe that anything that is public should be cheap because government
Yes.
will subsidize. But how do you now place a university that is owned by government and the tuition fee is as high as the private school?
Mm.
So that is why the model now evolved that we have public, private.
Right.
Now,
Mm.
I don't think they are using only that criteria. Of course, they also see that the processes, maybe for example, they don't go on strike.
Yes.
And when you look at it technically, you see that in most cases, public institutions are prone to strike. But this
Mm.
is a state university owned by government, but there is a national strike and they are not joining. And students will have a seamless session on
Yes.
record time, like the conventional private university. Maybe a course of 4 years, they have finished 3 years and 6 months. A course of 5 years, they have finished 4 years and 6 months. So to them, they see that as not purely public, but public with private vibe. Am I right? That's the way
Yes.
the generation will see it. Public with private vibe. Okay. But that, you also see a core public that you
Mm.
will go in for a course of 4 years and you'll be there for 7 years.
Yes.
Okay,
Mm.
that is when you talk about inefficiencies. You see a core public whereby you will write exam and you will not see results for 2 years. All right,
Mm.
that is what those are the appellations that public is now known for in Nigeria. But I must tell you quickly that we have several of those public universities that are also changing very fast.
Mm.
Although not as fast as the core private. In core private, after writing exam 3 weeks, 1 month, you have seen results. And you can even
Mm.
contest your results. You can track what is happening. You can approach your lecturers. Lecturers will be in classes every now and then. These are the things I did when I was in public. I don't miss classes. But you see some lecturers will not attend their classes in a semester more than 2 times, and
Yes.
nobody will question them. Okay, so the dynamics are changing, but I believe that most of the public too are fast changing because with the way government of the day is handling things, we now have the concept of public private partnership, that
Mm.
uh, the government now wants you to handle government activities as a business. That is back to our concept of business. When we say
Yes. Mm.
government business, that is, you cannot
Mm.
do government as usual. It is now a business. I hope you must have heard that before. The government activity is now treated like what? Like a
Business.
business.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. I am so grateful for this session. And I'm grateful for the clarity that you have really brought. Just to wrap it up, I don't know if you have any other thing, like any personal nuggets or tips you want to share for any students or aspiring career practitioner from the business administration background. Anything you have to say to them to help them navigate through academic life and career.
Well, what I will emphasize is that whatsoever your hands find to do, what does the Bible say? Say, do it
Well.
very well with all your might. Okay. Now, one of the things that I've discovered that is undermining whatsoever activity we do is lack of discipline.
Mm,
And part of the principle of business administration is discipline. Anything you want to do, you must be well disciplined. You
mm,
keep to time, keep to schedules, you keep to activities, and you do it very well. Secondly, we need to imbibe the culture of professionalism.
mm.
Not miss anything you are doing. Don't miss pleasure with business. Let business be what? Let it be
Business.
business. Be ethical in anything you are doing.
Mm,
What is not valuable, don't pursue it. You must give every passing minute something to keep in stock. For the rainy day, do what matters. What matters is what will create value. So when you create value, at the end of the day, the profit will come.
yes.
I do tell my students, just like the scripture says, at the end of the day, everything
Yes.
will end. What will remain is what? Is the value that you have created, the
Correct.
impact that you have made. Do not pursue only monetary profit. It says, seek first the kingdom of God and his
Yes.
what? His
It's right.
righteousness. All other things shall be
Shall
added.
be.
Let them pursue first knowledge, skills. Let them distinct themselves. Let them be credible in character. Let them
Yes.
know the discipline like the back of their palm. And I believe that with God on their side, they will excel. Thank you for the
Amen.
privilege. I appreciate it.
Amen. Thank you so much. It's been an awesome time with you, sir. Um, we hope if there's any cost to have you again, would be glad to reach out. And if there's any question, probably from any of the listeners, I would always like pass it across to you, and we'll be glad to have your response. Thank you so
Definitely.
much.
I'll do. Thank you. My
Thank you.
pleasure. I appreciate. Keep up the good work, and
Yes,
we shall
sir.
continue to pray. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, everybody. We are going to be seeing you on our next episode. Just watch out for the clarity series. We are doing so well, and remember that we are going to reach you right where you are with as much information as you need. Till we see the next time. Bye for now.